Hellmann's Real Mayonnaise. Introduced in 1905 by a German immigrant named Richard Hellmann at his New York deli, it was built on a short, honest list of ingredients: eggs, oil, vinegar, lemon juice, and salt. By the mid-20th century, Hellmann's had become the best-selling mayonnaise in the United States, commanding over 46% of the national market. In 2000, Unilever, a multinational corporation operating in 88 countries with roughly $49 billion in annual sales, acquired the brand. The formula changed. The formula switch. The original Hellmann's contained 5 core ingredients. The version sold today lists soybean oil as its primary component, followed by water, whole eggs, distilled vinegar, egg yolks, salt, sugar, lemon juice concentrate, calcium disodium, EDTA, and natural flavors. Sugar and EDTA were not in the original recipe. The lemon juice, once fresh, is now a concentrate. What was a deli condiment made in small batches became an industrially emulsified product optimized for shelf life, not taste. GMO soybean oil. Soybean oil is the single largest ingredient in Hellmann's, Kraft, Heinz, and most major American mayonnaise brands. According to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, 94% of soybeans grown in the United States are genetically modified organisms. These GMO crops are engineered to withstand heavy application of herbicides, particularly glyphosate. The FDA does not require independent safety testing of genetically engineered foods before market release, allowing the industry to rely primarily on manufacturer-funded studies. The olive oil illusion. Hellmann's, Kraft, and Duke's each market a product labeled olive oil mayonnaise. The word olive oil appears prominently on the front of the jar. The word with appears in noticeably smaller type. Flip the jar over. In all 3 products, soybean oil remains the primary oil, with olive oil appearing further down the ingredient list. The FDA currently sets no minimum percentage threshold for a secondary oil to be featured on the front label. The premium price, however, is very much real. Calcium disodium, EDTA. Both Hellmann's and Kraft incorporate calcium disodium, EDTA, as a preservative listed on the label as used to protect quality. In sensitive individuals, EDTA has been associated with hypoglycemia and cardiac arrhythmia. The FDA permits its use in mayonnaise at up to 75 parts per million. It is not an ingredient anyone adds when making mayonnaise at home. Its function is to extend shelf stability in industrial production, a benefit that accrues to the manufacturer, not the consumer. Miracle Whip is not mayonnaise. The FDA mandates that any product calling itself mayonnaise must contain at least 65% vegetable oil. Kraft Miracle Whip falls below that threshold. It is legally classified as a salad dressing, a distinction Kraft has historically not emphasized in its marketing. The current Miracle Whip formula contains water, soybean oil, high fructose corn syrup, vinegar, modified cornstarch, eggs, salt, natural flavors, mustard flour, potassium sorbate, paprika, spice, and dried garlic. High fructose corn syrup is the 3rd ingredient. Eggs appear 7th. The high fructose corn syrup problem. Kraft introduced high fructose corn syrup into Miracle Whip as a cost-cutting sweetener. HFCS is manufactured by breaking and rearranging the chemical bonds of cornstarch, a process that, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture's own definition of natural, disqualifies it from that label. In 2007, Kraft was sued in a Florida federal court for marketing a separate product containing HFCS as all-natural. The Center for Science in the Public Interest, which backed the lawsuit, noted that HFCS is not something a consumer could produce in their own kitchen. Kraft nonetheless continued using it. The Listeria Incident. In 2012, Ken's Foods, one of the largest food service condiment producers in the United States, initiated a voluntary recall after its supplier's diced onions tested positive for Listeria monocytogenes. 6 sauce and condiment products were pulled from distribution across 16 states. Listeria monocytogenes can take up to 70 days to manifest symptoms, including high fever, severe headache, stiffness, nausea, and abdominal pain. The bacterium is particularly dangerous for older adults, infants, and immunocompromised individuals. Cans notified distribution centers and brokers. Consumers were not directly contacted. Botulism and the Clostridium threat. In January 2024, Ventura Foods, a major private label condiment manufacturer supplying numerous U.S. grocery chains, issued a recall triggered by a customer complaint suggesting a sauce product may not have been completely processed, raising the risk of Clostridium botulinum contamination. The FDA classified the event as a Class 2 recall, indicating a product that may cause temporary or medically reversible adverse health consequences. Botulism attacks the nervous system. The World Health Organization reports that between 5 and 10% of untreated botulism cases are fatal. The lawsuit over what mayo means. In October 2014, Unilever filed suit in New Jersey against Hampton Creek Foods, maker of Just Mayo, an egg-free vegan spread. Unilever alleged that Hampton Creek was committing false advertising by calling its product mayo, since federal regulations require mayonnaise to contain egg yolk-containing ingredients. The lawsuit was widely interpreted as a corporate attempt to eliminate a smaller competitor from grocery shelves. Consumer and media backlash was swift and significant. Unilever withdrew the lawsuit 6 weeks after filing it. The FDA subsequently sent Hampton Creek its own formal warning letter, modified food starch, and phosphoric acid. Kraft Real Mayonnaise contains 3 ingredients not recognized by food regulators as standard mayonnaise components: modified food starch, phosphoric acid, and potassium sorbate. Modified food starch is a low-cost thickening agent used to approximate texture without the required oil content. Phosphoric acid provides tartness, standing in for lemon juice. Potassium sorbate extends shelf life. None of these appear in homemade mayonnaise. All 3 reduce production costs. The retail price does not reflect this reduction. The omega-6 accumulation. Soybean oil is high in omega-6 fatty acids, specifically linoleic acid. Research published in multiple peer-reviewed journals links chronically elevated linoleic acid consumption to systemic inflammation, obesity, chronic pain, and increased cardiovascular disease risk. The problem is not a single serving of mayonnaise. It is cumulative dietary exposure. Soybean oil appears not only in mayonnaise but across the broader landscape of American processed foods. The average U.S. consumer encounters it multiple times per day without awareness because ingredient labels require no warning. The formula change nobody announced. At some point after Unilever's acquisition, Hellmann's quietly altered its recipe. Consumer complaints began surfacing online on descriptions of a sweeter product, a thinner consistency, a chemically tangy aftertaste. Unilever confirmed the change via email to food media, stating simply, "Yes, we have changed the formula of Hellmann's Real Mayonnaise." No press release accompanied the change. No label indicated a reformulation. The jar still read Real Mayonnaise. The market share defense. Hellmann's holds roughly 31% of the U.S. mayonnaise market. Best Foods, the identical Unilever product sold under a different name west of the Rockies, adds further share. The scale of this market dominance gives Hellmann's effective power over category standards. When the brand that defines real mayonnaise reformulates with cheaper oils, synthetic preservatives, and undisclosed recipe changes, it does not merely affect one product. It recalibrates what American consumers expect mayonnaise to be and what they are willing to accept without question. The regulatory gap. The FDA set its legal standard of identity for mayonnaise in 1957. Minimum 65% vegetable oil, at least 1 egg yolk containing ingredient, and an acidifying agent. That definition has not been substantially updated in nearly 7 decades. It does not address GMO ingredients, synthetic preservatives, industrially processed oils, or the labeling of secondary premium ingredients. The corporations that manufacture American mayonnaise operate inside a regulatory framework designed before the age of industrial food chemistry. The gap between what the label implies and what the jar contains is, by current law, entirely permitted.